it's just cool, man. It doesn't matter where we go. And I've literally been across the world, and all the CrossFit communities are the same no matter where you go. So,
well, you started as a gym, and now CrossFit Mayhem is a worldwide brand. When did you know that it was starting to move in that direction?
Oh, man. I tell the story every time at Train with Rich that every year after I'd either win the CrossFit Games or get second, whatever it was, that I thought I was going to have to go to the fire department back to the fire department the next year. And so I think it was until probably 2019, 2020, I was like, all right, maybe I won't be able to go back to the fire department. One, because I'm getting too old, and two, this thing's starting to, kind of make its own thing. And so we have an incredible team around here, and, I wouldn't be able to do it without them, having Josh here at actual Mayhem, having, kind of our Mayhem athlete team with Jake and Darren doing the affiliate stuff, Christy. And so, man, it's in apparel. So, we could keep going on and media and all that stuff. So we've definitely been blessed. We've definitely been, it's been a good run for sure. And it's been fun last couple of years there's a little less stress. Obviously we want to keep getting better and keep providing more and more things, or better things, I guess. And so it's been cool. It's been a wild ride to think about it though, back 2010.
Yeah. Well, we actually just watched the 2010 finale with Spieler.
Oh man.
And
let's not talk about that.
Weeks ago. I mean, rope climbs notwithstanding, it looked like a completely different sport. There weren't lanes. It was
mass chaos. You go there, here you do this. Hey, I don't even know what we're doing. I remember when Dave said the workout, I think I was the last one on the floor, and the only reason I knew to do push-ups is I started looking around. So it was interesting.
Yeah, you kind of have to go through those spots to get, you
really do. Yeah. Like I said, it's just, it lets us know how far we've come. So
for sure. But with that in mind, I mean, what are some things from the brand business standpoint that have really become like pillars along the way? Like whether it was like, hey, Sean and I used to tell this story. Like the first time we saw someone wearing one of our podcast t-shirts, it was like, that's kind of weird. I didn't think everyone would buy a t-shirt from us. Is there anything like that for you guys that has now become such an integral part of the success of the business? Sheesh.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Every time we go to semifinals, you'll just see people wearing our shorts on field or on the field of play. You're like, man, we're competing against other people wearing our stuff, which is kind of weird. I remember Andrea and Taylor were the ones that kind of pointed that out the first time. They're like, because we always kind of have this mentality of like, when we step on the field, nobody's our friend. And then what you look next to you, two of the guys are wearing our shorts. I'm like, it's kind of hard.
Versus everybody.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, all right, well, and then, I guess it was 2 years ago when we first did the basketball jerseys, and just looking out in the crowd and you're like, man, that's pretty cool. There's a lot of basketball jerseys out there. So those things kind of popped out. A little bit more than, just a regular t-shirt or anything like that. So I think it's those things. And then, man, anytime we do a Train with Rich and it fills up and I'm like, man, I don't know if I'd ever do that. Like pay the money to go hang out with, I guess I think back to like Barry Sanders would be the guy I'd probably pay for a weekend to go hang out with Barry Sanders as a kid. So I get it.
That's fair. New documentary out too.
I can't wait. Was that out yet?
I don't know if it's out.
I think it's like this week. I think I remember seeing the video for it, so I'm fired up. I mean, we all know why he retired, but
the fact it is a tragedy that guy does not have a Super Bowl ring.
It blows my mind. He's the greatest running back of all time.
No question. What do you think the Mayhem brand looks like in 5 years?
Oh man, I don't know. I hope I hope we keep doing the things that we're doing, and we've got kind of our four things: faith, family, fitness, service. And as long as we're still doing those same things and impacting people in a positive way through fitness and community, I think then we're doing exactly what we need to be doing. I think, man, I think all these different brands and stuff try to have their own flavor. We're just doing CrossFit and we've got an incredible community to support that. Darren, and like I said, I keep coming back to what they do from the back of house, all of our people. And, man, I think we just keep doing what we're doing. And hopefully I would like to get an individual athlete from one of our places on the podium. That would be great. It's tough. Everybody wants to look at all these different camps and talk trash about stuff, but it's hard to be the best in the world at anything is pretty damn hard. So, like I said, I just want that for our athletes. I don't even really want it for us. I just want it for our athletes. So, it's
Yeah, it's and to be able to maintain it too. Like I think honestly, like I think we got a little spoiled in some of the early years. Like seeing some of the long runs, yourself included, that you get treated to, and then you look back on it later on. You're like, man, those dynasties are crazy, and it's hard to replicate.
Yeah, it's I mean, you got more and more things impacted. You've got so many more variables that you can't control, and so it's it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. The one of the pillars you mentioned, service. I know you guys have done some cool stuff, whether it's like Mayhem for Mustard Seed in the past, and it always seems like every time I look online, you guys got something cool coming down the pipe. Is there anything on that front, whether it's new events you guys are trying to go work with, or service based like projects you're working on?
Yeah, I mean, we've got Mayhem Mission now, and so we kind of have those kind of 4 core events that we do. We've got Mayhem for Mustard Seed. Wow, coming up in December. It's all online this year. I want to bring it back full time next year. But yeah, I mean, the big thing is like we've got such an incredible community. We keep coming back to that. CrossFit itself, but our Mayhem affiliates and all of our individuals that do our Mayhem athlete stuff. And so, man, if we can impact the world, like I said, in a positive way, well, I'm all for it. And so, I feel bad at times. It feels like we're selling stuff at all times, but really we're just giving the money, to people in need. So that's the hard part. We just did the cancer event this last weekend at Mayhem. So it was cool. It was a good turnout and a ton of fun out there. So, it's so cool. Like I said, we've got, man, and I would come back to Revo, one of the guys at the gym. He has this thing. It's called Sleep in Heavenly Peace. So they take raw lumber, and then through I think it's 11 different stations people work. He makes beds. And so it's for kids in the area that kind of sleep on the floor or sleep on a couch. People can apply for these beds. And man, it was such a cool thing to see 300 people, not even just at the gym. People from the community show up. We built beds at the gym, and then I worked at a station for a couple hours where we were just making the headboards, and then I made the kids go with me to actually deliver the beds, just to give them some perspective. And man, it was just so cool. One thing's really cool is watching your 5-year-old use power tools. But then, just to see them ask questions like, Dad, what, what's going on here? What's this? What's that? And I'm like, you've got it pretty good. And so, the 5 and 6-year-old probably don't recognize it as well, but Lakeland's she's 9 and she's getting to it. So that was cool.
Yeah. Along those lines, I heard you talking to Jason Khalipa about raising your son, and as a father of a young son, I always like to pick people's brains about how they're raising their kids. And you mentioned protect your sister. That was one of the things you guys talked about. But other than the physical aspect of that, protect your sister, what are some of the other things that go along with that you're trying to instill in him? Yeah,
I mean, really I think of his sister almost as an extension of, or I guess people that are getting, are weaker or, are in danger or something like that, to be a protector, not be the one that is always the aggressor. Obviously in some situations you might need to, so you're not that, but, not to go pick a fight. No, I'm not preaching, hey, but if you see someone going after your sister or bothering your sister and she doesn't like it, then I want you to step in. And that extends to anybody that's, kind of getting pushed around. And so, man, it's hard. It's hard in this day and age to you can't really say that half the time because people, it just depends on, I guess, the crowd you're around. But man, I don't want my kid to be a bully, but I also don't want my kid to be a soft target. And so there's some middle ground in there. And I feel like, I would like to think that everything can be solved with words, but we all know that at no point that's not always going to happen. So if he's just want him to be ready, and like I said, to protect. That's our big thing, and that's kind of through. I've just kind of figured out protect is in my nature, and so I want to instill that and make sure all my kids really, my girls too. I don't want them to be mean girls. I want them to be girls that are protectors as well. So. It's tough, man. Being a parent is the most incredible job on this planet, but it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah. Along those lines, what are the biggest challenges for you right now as a dad?
I think just making sure that I'm I'm there. When they need me, I'm there. It's I'm available at all times. Like, I mean, you see my kids are in and around and all that at all time, and I try to be consistent. And like I said, if they need me, I'm here, and if they don't need me, then I'm not far away. So that's what I always appreciated about my parents is they were just always there. And if I needed something, they were. And me and Hillary always, we were talking about. I forgot about what we were talking about, and she's like, said something. I'm like, yeah, me and my dad have never really had a deep, meaningful conversation, but I knew he loved me at no point, and so. It's just different generations, and so at no point, like I said, do I ever doubt that my father loved me or anything like that. But we just, we were around each other. We just didn't talk, we were right next to each other working on something or building something. And but at no point did we ever, how you feel today or anything like that. So it's weird, and I want Trice and my girls to have that. It's just different generations.
Yeah.
So.
And I also think like if you are the bridge generation between two vastly different, like even you look at between our parents' generation and where this next age is, and like digital media and all like that, it's almost you have a foot in both, so it's really hard. To touch on one, and I don't have kids. I hope to have some one day, but it's a difficult thing to translate to anyone at that point.
It really is. I'm like, get off that iPad. You don't need to use that. And then I'm like, you probably need to learn how to use that thing. It's hard. I'm like, we don't need to. We probably need those. So we try to limit screen time as much as we can, because here's the deal. And I was talking to one of the guys, Robbie Kroger. He's Blood Origins. It's a nonprofit conservation organization, and he was talking about, I forgot who he was talking to, but he's like, we're one generation from people not knowing how to camp, like actually really camp outside. If you think about it, like that's bizarre to me, because we used to spend every weekend outside, and so it's they've got to learn those skills. They've got to learn, it's a tough generation. These, luckily for us, we had like you said, we had one foot without technology for probably half my life. And then all of a sudden we had technology. So we're right there in the middle.
Yeah, I can't imagine, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Like, I didn't grow up with social media in my whole life.
No way.
I can't even imagine what that would be like. And I don't know.
My life would be destroyed.
I don't know how I'm going to deal with that. Because it's just a part of life now.
It's tough, man. And luckily we have people that, run mine, because I've been so detached to it, and it's been amazing, but it's a necessary kind of, I don't want to say evil, but man, it's evil at the moment for me, but we're getting death threats. But
are you serious?
Oh man. No,
that shocks me, because the internet is usually a very reasonable place.
No, right. Yeah. I just can't wait till it goes on YouTube, and then we get the real people. So, we've had definite, like, I hope that gun malfunctions, like, and kills you, that type of thing. And you say it to me, but say it to my wife, and we're going to have real problems if I find out who you are and actually who you are. Then, we're going to have some real problems. But man, it's bizarre. People are crazy, man. Crazy.
Why can't people just disagree and be
keep scrolling? That's my deal. And that's our problem, I think, with society, is if we have a differing opinion, we can't just come to some type of agree to disagree type situation. It's hard to do that, I guess, over Instagram. You look at that last bear picture, and it's got 10,000 comments, and people just being nasty, and then some decent conversations going on in there. So, but it's bizarre.
We're also still very early into this whole social media experiment. Like,
who knows?
I don't know. Facebook comments didn't look like they used to 5 years ago.
Nope.
Instagram comments 5 years ago, and I think I don't know. I feel like we're in this weird fluctuation where
it's scary.
Yeah, I'm almost kind of waiting for it to come back at some point. Where like,
everyone pendulum swings. Hey, we're going way too far this way. Let's come back this way.
Yeah, maybe
it does that in society. Hopefully, we keep saying that. Maybe that's our job as parents for the next generation. Is like, hey, you see how ridiculous these people are? Don't do that. At some point, it's like, hey, we got to tell people, hey, stop doing that. That's dumb. We can't always just be nice to our kids. Sometimes you got to go, hey, that's dumb.
Yeah. Yep. Well, looking back on your career, what are the moments that you think you're the most proud of when you think of all the success you've had?
Man, any of the team competitions, team wins, are probably more special to me. Just being able to share that with other people. I did get to share it with people as an individual, but being on a team and being on the floor and seeing the sacrifice people have made in and out, day in and day out, throughout the year, and then be able to share that with them on the floor, those team wins are pretty special. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is there a moment that stands out? I know we talked about this before, but I'm just always curious of like time or distance away. You like the conversations with the buddies and friends talking